All right, let's jump right in. In high-stakes fields like healthcare, we often think the real learning happens right in the middle of the action, during some intense simulation. But here's the thing. While that simulation gives you the experience, the deep, lasting learning, well, that happens in the quiet, structured reflection that comes after.
So that brings us to the big question, right? The scenario's done, the adrenaline is starting to fade, so where does the learning actually start? And the answer, which might surprise you, is right now. And that's because a good debrief is so much more than just a casual, hey, how'd that go chat? It's a really powerful educational tool. It's the bridge that takes you from just doing something to truly understanding it. So first, let's get on the same page. What even is debriefing? It's not just talking. It's a guided, reflective conversation. The whole point is to help people unpack what happened, dig into the thinking behind their actions, and then figure out how to get better. And the most crucial part here is that it's about the why just as much as the what. Now, this is a super important distinction to make. Debriefing is not the same as feedback. Feedback is often a one-way street, right? An instructor tells you what you did wrong. Debriefing, on the other hand, is a two-way conversation. It's all about exploring the learner's thought process, not just pointing out mistakes. Okay, so if that's the goal, how do you create an environment where that kind of deep learning can actually happen? Well, it doesn't just happen by accident. You have to build it on a foundation of a few essential, non-negotiable ingredients. And it all starts with this core belief. You have to walk into that room assuming that every single person there is smart, capable, and genuinely wants to get better. When you start from that place, it changes everything. It sets this non-judgmental tone that's the absolute bedrock of psychological safety. And from that foundation, you build with these other key pieces. You need that psychological safety, that shield, so people feel okay being vulnerable. You need clear ground rules, like what's said here stays here. It's also so important to get everyone on the same page about what actually happened before you start analyzing why. From there, you keep it focused with clear objectives, you spark dialogue with good open-ended questions, and, this one's huge, you have to be comfortable with silence. Those pauses, that's where the gears are really turning. All right, so you've got all the right ingredients ready to go. Now what's the recipe? How do you actually structure the conversation? That's where debriefing models come into play. Think of them like blueprints that give your conversation a clear, logical flow. And these models pretty much fall into two big categories. You've got your straightforward three-phase models, which are super common and work great for most situations. And then, for the really complex stuff, you've got more comprehensive multi-phase models that let you dig a lot deeper. Let's look at that three-phase structure first. It's so popular because it's elegant and powerful. First, you start with reactions. You let people process their emotions and just get it all out. Then you move to the heart of it, analysis. This is where you explore what happened and why. And finally, you wrap it all up with a summary to really lock in those key takeaways. And you can see here, it doesn't really matter what you call it. You've got models with names like the 3D model, gas, diamond. They might use different words like diffusing or discovering, but fundamentally, they're all following that same powerful logic. Feel, think, and apply. But what happens when things get really complicated? Especially when there's a lot of teamwork involved? Well, that's when you might need a bit more structure. For those scenarios, multi-phase models offer a more detailed roadmap. A really great example of this is a model called TeamGAINS. So TeamGAINS takes that simple three-step and expands it into 6 distinct stages. It still starts with reactions, but what's cool is how it separates the discussion of clinical skills from the teamwork and behavioral skills. It also makes a point of building a bridge from the sim to the real world, and even has an option for supervised practice right then and there. And just like before, if you compare TeamGAINS to other big models like Pearls or an after-action review, you'll see different steps and different names. But don't get hung up on the details. The shared goal is always the same, providing a really solid, structured way to analyze complex events. Now, for a long, long time, all of this relied purely on human memory, which, as we know, can be a little tricky. But then technology stepped in, and specifically video, and it has just completely changed the game. Yeah, video-assisted debriefing, or VAD for short, isn't some newfangled idea anymore. It's pretty much standard practice in simulation centers all over the world. And when you look at the benefits, it is so easy to see why. First off, it's the ultimate source of truth. The camera doesn't have a bias, it doesn't misremember, it shows exactly what happened.
That immediately cuts through any, well, I thought this happened arguments and gets everyone looking at the same set of facts. Second, and this one is huge, is perspective. I mean, having someone tell you how you acted is one thing, but seeing yourself in action from the outside, that's a whole different level. It's an aha moment that can break down defensiveness and spark some really genuine self-reflection. And finally, it just plain works. This isn't just a nice theory. The data backs it up. Studies have consistently shown that ABD can be flat out more effective than just talking, especially for hands-on skills. For instance, research shows it can significantly improve the quality of CPR. We're talking real, measurable improvements. So if video was a massive leap forward, what's the next leap? Well, it seems to be all about taking these powerful learning conversations and breaking them free from the four walls of the simulation room. I mean, just think about it for a second. What if you didn't have to be in the same room or even in the same time zone to have one of these powerful debriefing conversations? What if it could happen anytime, anywhere? Well, that's not science fiction anymore. It's happening right now. New tools are emerging that basically turn your smartphone into a mobile debriefing lab. You can record a procedure and an expert can review it later, dropping in precise time-stamped feedback. It makes learning this continuous, personalized thing, not just a one-off meeting. And if we peek just over the horizon, things get even more interesting. We're talking about AI-assisted feedback, automated performance tracking that gives you insights instantly, interactive replays. These kinds of technologies are poised to completely revolutionize how we learn from experience. Because at the end of the day, that's the whole point, isn't it? It's so easy to get caught up in the action, in the simulation itself. But we have to remember, the experience, that's just the test. The reflection, that's where you find the lesson. That's what really makes you better.